The reason that there's a First Amendment that protects the press and not someone who's selling shoes or pizza or cars is because, as Thomas Jefferson realized, the press is essential for the health of our democracy. It's essential that the American people get the truth. Now, the press can make mistakes. Everyone, again, understands that. And as I said at the very beginning, the people in the media, we shouldn't make any mistake about it. They're human beings just as we are. They're capable of making a mistake. But when there is a systematic record of constant misreporting, then that's not just a mistake. And I think that ABC in particular, and Fox News to a lesser but still significant extent, have forfeited their right to hold themselves up as mass media doing the business of our democracy. Now, I still don't think that the government should go after them because that would do even more damage. But I think that they are not living up to what Jefferson and the Founding Fathers expected of our mass media. Neither did the Washington Post in the example I gave you earlier when they left out Ron Paul's name, but at least in the case of the Washington Post, it happened once. All right, let's take a look at Fox, and there are several examples, but I want to give you the most recent example. So I'm happy to say about ABC that the most recent example that I know about of misreporting did not happen on ABC. It happened on Fox News. It was after not the most recent presidential Republican debate, which actually took place just last night. It was on PBS. That, by the way, was an interesting debate. The four leading Republican candidates did not deign to show up for that debate. And I don't know why. It was held at a primarily African-American university, moderated by Tavis Smiley. So your guess is as good as mine as to why Romney, Giuliani, Fred Thompson, and McCain didn't show up for that debate. But in the debate prior to that, which took place on Fox News, Fox conducted its own poll after the debate. And again, I'm sure you're expecting what I'm going to say because it's the same pattern repeating itself. Right after the debate, Hannity and Colmes were on the air. Sean Hannity, Alan Colmes, they're on Fox every night after Bill O'Reilly's Factor. And they say, well, hey, you know, we're going to tell you the results of the poll that's now taking place. They put a number on the screen, call up and vote. And they're interviewing the various candidates. And within about 15 or 20 minutes, the results start coming in. And there up on the screen, in first place, is Ron Paul. Now, Hannity and Colmes disagree on most things. I mean, that's the idea of the show. This is Fox's idea of being fair and balanced. They have like about 120 people who are conservative and one liberal, Colmes. But on that show, I guess you could say that show is fair and balanced because you have one conservative, Sean Hannity, one liberal, Alan Colmes. And understandably, they disagree about most things. But listen to this. Here's something they didn't disagree on, which was that somehow Ron Paul's coming in first wasn't a real result. And they both like started saying stuff along the lines of, yeah, you probably had Ron Paul supporters voting more than once, multiple dialing. This happened 3 or 4 times when they announced the results. Even to show what multiple dialing was, one of them, you know, started like, you know, doing this kind of thing. You know, isn't that wonderful? These great nonverbal gestures. You know what? It turns out it's impossible to do multiple dialing in that situation. I tried it myself, and so did many other people. And if you had called in on your cell phone, and then 20 minutes later or 5 minutes later you called in again and you were hoping to inflate the vote for Ron Paul or any other candidate, you'd have gotten a message from Fox saying thank you, but your vote has already been recorded. Because obviously Fox is not that naive. You know, it's a trivially easy thing to program a phone response system. Let's grant that Hannity and Colmes might not have known that, although I don't see how they could not have known, but let's grant that the first time when they belittled, when they denigrated Ron Paul's first place finish, let's give Hannity and Colmes the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know about that multiple dialing system. And they didn't know that Fox had programmed it so that it didn't take more than one call from one number. Again, just so you understand how television news works, there are producers who are sitting in a control room watching this. You know, there are assistants. It's not as if Hannity and Colmes or anyone is just going out there over the airways, you know, on cable, and nobody from Fox, no one from their production outfit is watching what's going on. No, it's not like that at all. And so I would say it's impossible that no one at Fox who knew about how the poll was conducted, that no one told Hannity and Colmes that they were wrong. So let's, just to sum up this part of it, here is what we have with the media misreporting of Ron Paul. We have a discussion on a website being shut down. We have consistent either belittling of results of polls conducted either through the internet or through cell phones when Ron Paul does well. And I haven't even told you all the examples. We have a radio talk show host urging people to call up and conduct a campaign of disinformation against Ron Paul. We have not only ABC doing this, but the Washington Post at one point, and Fox News as well, and not only directed against Ron Paul, but against Dennis Kucinich as well. So what's going on here? Why is this happening? And again, you know, there are some people, probably many people in the academic world, who would say, well, what do you expect of Fox? But actually, I have a high regard for Fox. I don't agree with a lot of what they say, but I don't think that Fox is trying to systematically give false information. So why did Hannity and Colmes do that? And even more so, ABC, I mean, when was the last time you heard of ABC being involved in any kind of controversy? The truth of the matter is ABC News is, you know, pretty much off the map. You know, the NBC does far better than ABC does in the nightly news. So, you know, what's ABC's problem?